Welcome to Bound for Glory.
A show that we got questions about.
Now, what do we get in Bound for Glory normally? We get a bad build going into it. I said it. We always get bad builds going into a Bound for Glory, but we get a good, sometimes great Bound for Glory. This is no different. We get a bad build for most of what's going on I know people are going to say, dude, you can't tell us that Bound for Glory was crap. And I won't. I've always said I'm honest. This was not a bad show. It wasn't. I'm not going to tell you that this pay-per-view, this show of Impact Wrestling was bad. Did it have issues? Yeah. The audio was an issue. There was several glitches in the audio. Was the camera work good? Yes. And I just wonder why in the blue hell do they not use the same person that does the pay-per-views doing the regular Impact shows? I don't get it. But the shows was good. The one major problem I saw was that they didn't show all the fans. If that thing could hold 4,000 people in the Armory, why didn't they light up the place? Make it bright. They didn't. That's a mistake on their part. That I believe that was wrong. Everybody don't agree with me? Fine. But I do believe that they want to show, they should show that there are people that care about Impact when the ratings look like crap. I'm just saying. Anyway, let's open with the kickoff. I did watch it. The one thing that happened, we have one match. That was for the Digital Media Championship. Brian Myers versus
Dirty Dango
of NWA. Blonded out. I don't believe I got a shot of him with his blonde hair. I do. I'll put it in my face. He was there. People were cheering their asses off heavily. That was a very good opening for the show, even though the people were still filing in. I didn't expect him to win. But to be honest, I think he should have. He should be doing some tapings for Impact Wrestling. If Billy Corgan was allowing him to go to Bound for Glory, Billy Corgan could be asked, hey Bill, let Dirty Dango have a couple of tapings with our company. We need a new perspective because he's never really been there. I believe he's never been there. If he has, it's been a long time. As far as I know, he's never been to Impact. And if he had, it must have been in the mid-2000s because he has not been there since. So he should be there at least for a month or two for tapings. So I kind of wish that William had been asked. Yes, I'm saying William instead of Billy. Here's something I wish was done in the main show, but I understand why they didn't do it. The Hall of Fame ceremony for Raven. Now, was it a great Hall of Fame ceremony? I'm botching here. It was dry. Let's be honest. It was dry at first due to the fact of Raven being very, very anal about how he wanted to read his notes. I don't think he's used to doing something like that, or he hasn't done that in a long time. I think in this situation he was nervous, yes. And I guess this is the first time he ever wrote a speech that was going to be broadcast across the world. So maybe he was nervous about that. Most of what he said was important, but it felt dry because of his delivery. His delivery wasn't very good. But that doesn't take anything away from Raven. Raven earned everything he's got. Yes, the genius legitimately earned what he's got. And he fessed up to most of what he's done wrong. That's not a bad thing. But what made this epic was not Tommy Dreamer introducing Raven. He did okay. It was when Raven spotlighted Tommy, said, I would not be the same person I am today if it was not for Tommy. He's the yin to my yang. He's my heel to my face. And today is the end of a 28-year feud. He walks over to Tommy, gives him a hug. Tommy hugs him nice. He gets kicked in the gut. And then he gets DDT'd for his trouble. I just broke out laughing. Is it cliched? Yes. But was it bad? No. It was enjoyable to see the last thing. Like Tommy said, he wanted to get a moment and enjoy it because he never did when he was with Raven. They just went with it, and Raven was the same thing. There's a moment. He lays out Tommy and ends their 28-year feud. Oh my gosh, I was laughing like this. It was fun. Not everyone's going to agree with it. They're going to say, oh, another ECW guy getting over on another ECW guy. Who cares? It still was fun. I'm just saying. Main card. And this is where my title of Needing the Past going forward. We got... This match was a very good match. I'm not really into speed matches. Not into high flying all the time. My throat's still messed up. But it worked here. When you put Speedball Mike Bailey with Frankie Kazarian, you know you're going to have a great match. Shame there's no feud. Shame there was no build into this. Just making it important. Mind you, understand. The majority of the stuff here had no build. Barely. A few weeks? Maybe. So, this could have used 3 weeks of build. Building Kazarian going into Mike, it would have been really important. I think it could have helped a lot more. It made it even more important for people at home compared to the people in the arena. Understand? Being in the arena is great. You get to see great matches. But when you're home, you have to see how they build into that match. And there was nothing there. Nothing. But was it a great match? Yes, I enjoyed the match. But you get Speedball Mike Bailey jobbing to Kazarian. Now, I heard people booing in there. And I'm sure they're going to go, oh, another old guy taking a spot from a young guy. Look. In this situation, seeing that Kazarian got a 5th reign is important. He's a staple of Impact Wrestling. He's been around there since the time in which TNA, they were still using the NWA title. So seeing him win it means something. Now the question's going to be, what will they do with him? Remember, now that we got champions, old ones and new ones, in other words, new people that are champions that have been on the roster, and in this case, Frankie being a champion, what will they do with him? How will they book him going forward? Will it be feuds? Or are they just going to do straight up matches? Or are they going to do something stupid, like give Speedball a couple of matches more, and then just drop it right back to him? I'm just saying. Next match. And this was a match that I knew the ending of it. There was no way it was going to end like this. But was it a good match? Yes. The last rodeo match for a Mickie James versus a Mia Yim. They really worked very hard in this match. This was, to me, the third best match of the night. For me personally, it was. This was the third best match. When you see how Mickie James and Mia Yim's, the chemistry they had together is very good. Was there a little botchiness in certain points? Yes, like 2. I saw only 2 botches. They were minor. But they tried to tell a very good story. They tried to do it more old school than current school, where it's just high, fast pace. They tried to make it mean something. And I appreciated that. In the end, I did not expect Mia to job. Not job. There was no way that I think the reason I'm botching here is mainly due to the fact that this could have been higher up in the card. I'm being honest here. It should have been higher in the card because the next match, which was the Knockouts tag match, could have been in this position. I'm telling the truth. This could have taken its position or even be further up. That's what I kind of wished for. But we got Deadly Dolls versus Vex. VXK. Wait, VXT. Vec. I don't know where they came up with that name. That just sounds...
The Deadly Dolls sound better than that one.
Now, were people behind Jessica? Yes, they were. Were they cheering for Jessica? Yes, they were. So Jessica did a great job in the last couple of months to convince people that she had a personality change, and it works because her bubbly personality got over on the crowd. For me personally, did I have a problem with her turning from Havoc to Jessica? No, because I actually believe that she enjoyed her role, not being a bad guy, but being a good guy, having fun. I think this might have been something new for her because we know Jessica Havoc has always been Jessica Havoc. It's very rare for her to go out of character as a heel. So this must have been a fresh perspective for her because she was acting very bubbly, enjoying herself, and having fun. And that's translated organically. So when they won this match, it was fine. But if I have to compare this match to the Mickie James and Mia Yim match, you could have switched it. It could have been lower in the card. It could have opened the show instead of Kaz and Mike Bailey. I'm telling the truth. But I got to say this. This is what I got to say for people who I got to remind. Was this match better than the match last year when it came to DK with Jessica Havoc and Rosemary versus the inspiration of Jesse and Cassie? Think about it for a minute. Everybody was so anxious to see this damn match last year when it came to inspiration. I myself was interested in seeing how they changed their stick. How different were they? And what did I get? Nothing. They went right back to the, guess what, Iconics. But they just changed the name from Iconic to Inspiration. They did nothing different. And then they only lasted 6 months, and they did nothing during that time. Nothing. So when you see that match before, and you see this one, at least you got to build up one character that you cared about, and that was Jessica. So I say this was vastly better than last year's Bound for Glory that led to 6 months of nothing with two women who stated on multiple podcasts that they were upset how WWE treated them. They were upset they were separated. And they swore, each of them, that they were going to work on their routine. And they did not. There you go. Let's move on. The OGK versus Motor City Machine Guns. I was already tuned out by that time. Now, I want to make this clear. Being tuned out because of what happened with Shelly and Taven on the recording that was Impact Wrestling yesterday does not take anything away from the match. That match was really good. This match was really good. But it was wrong to do it yesterday. They should have done it because they're copying the WWE heavily. I don't care what anyone says. This is done all the time in wrestling. Does not mean it needs to be. Sometimes it's better not to let the tag champs have any matches. They could have backstage segments. They could have interviews. They could have brawls. You don't need them to go up against the challengers. You could have had them deal with someone else other than the challenger in a match. You could have had Shelly or Taven deal with somebody else. And you could have seen the Motor City Machine Guns or OGK watching. That's what pissed me off about that match. It wasn't the quality of the match. It was the setup for the match. And that it was stupid. Here, I was already done. I didn't care who won. It didn't matter. I knew they were going to have a great match. And they did. They had a very good match. And Maria Kanellis got her face kicked in by her own husband. And also, OGK kept messing up multiple times. But they managed to retain their titles. Which means they're sticking around. But does that mean Maria Kanellis is staying around? This might be her way to get out of the show. Because she's supposed to work with AEW. unless she has a contract that says she can work AEW and still be with a husband in OGK. She might have that type of contract, so I don't know. We'll find out as the tapings go on from now on. But I will say this. Seeing this match was a great match. But the setup for the match and the last match before this pissed me off. I don't agree with it. So the match sucked. Not as the quality of the match, of its ring work, it was the setup. So if you don't agree with me, fine, understand it. But I don't agree with this match because of how they did it the day before. They should never did it. Let's move on to the Call the Shot Gauntlet. Now, we had Eric Young start the match with Joe Henry. I always thought he was saying Joe Hendrick. Now that I actually heard it, hearing that his name is Joe Henry's, I'll tell you this. Is Joe interesting? I can't say yes or no. He looks good. He sounds good. His theme music is good. His in-ring, just getting into the ring, looked good. But what did we get as his ring work? Was it good? He's a power wrestler. That's obvious. But did it look good throughout the match? No. Maybe due to the fact it's only the first time I actually seen him wrestle, and he needs to do some singles so I can really see if he's a good wrestler or not. Because there's certain things about wrestlers people don't understand. They got to be able to work, and they got to be able to sell. I don't know if he can work or sell because of the gauntlet. But it was good to see. And we got several people who showed up, and the major problem I had with the gauntlet was the women. Taylor Wilde came back. Fine. There was no problem with Taylor Wilde coming back. Savannah Evans was the first woman to go into the ring. And I can believe Savannah Evans going up against the men because she's as tall as the men, and she's about, well, she's not muscular heavily. She's just thick. And there's nothing wrong with being thick. She's not like chubby. She's like this. So seeing her go up against the men and actually putting them down, I could believe. But when you see all the other women that went into the ring, and that's Tasha Steelz, that is Killer Kelly, that is, who else was in there? Was there any other woman that was in there? Gazelle Shaw. Because of their smaller stature, the men had to sell heavily for them. If you look at Steve Macklin, who I felt like could have won the entire thing, and he looked great throughout the entire thing, he was selling more than anyone there.
Steve was selling his freaking ass off next to Eric Young.
He was selling so heavily. When Killer Kelly came in, since she's a former MMA fighter, I believe she was, I can understand and believe most of what she did. But once you show everyone else, and Taylor Wilde, nailing got no. They had to work hard, these guys, to make every woman look legitimate. And this is where I don't buy it. And this is the reason why it sucked. You could still have both genders in the match, but you could have easily had two call your shots. One for the knockouts, one for the men. By having two didn't make a damn sense. Not having two didn't make a damn sense. You should have had two call your shots. One for the men, one for the women. Yes, I know there was only about 4 women now. What was it, 4? There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 women. There was 5 women. But you could have at least done that. I'm sorry. You should have had the last woman who finally got rid of the last one would get that call your shot. And then she could leave the ring. That would be all right. But seeing there was only one call your shot, really, they had to sell so bad. I didn't like it. Now, who did we get that came in? We got Matt Cardona coming back and getting eliminated by, I believe it was Gunja who eliminated him. I believe that was the one who eliminated him. So you might have a feud with them. Then you got Johnny Swinger getting in. I know one of my subscribers, He is ecstatic that Johnny was in there going, yeah. And once you got Rhino who came back, you got Tommy Dreamer coming in there, you got Bully Ray in there, all the ECW guys. Basically, Johnny Swinger tried to say he was from ECW. Yeah, he was there at one point at Disco Inferno. But they don't see him as much, Disco Inferno. So, sorry. He got his ass handed to him most of the time by Savannah Evans, by Tasha Steeles. I believe even Taylor Wilde nailed him. Giselle Shaw went after him. It was all the women were beating up on Johnny Swinger because he was the weakest one there because he's comic relief. I can understand it, but I didn't expect anything from Johnny Swinger. Nothing. And Ziggy wasn't in the match. PCO was in the match, which I was very happy about, because you can see PCO dealing with a Moose. I'd like to see that. You can see PCO dealing with a Macklin. I could see that. You could see when all these people are together. You got PCO against Bully Ray now that he won the Call Your Shot Challenge. And the last four that was in there was Bobby Fish, which he did all right. Bully Ray, Macklin, and Rich Swann. Rich was the first one out from the last four. And the last two was Macklin. No, who was the last two? It was, which one was it? Hang on a second. Because I wrote my notes backwards a little bit. Who is who? That was, no. That were the last two. Macklin and Bully Ray. I'm sorry. I had to look at my notes. My notes are scrambled because I was trying to write everything down. It looked great. Look, I remember when Bully Ray did an interview. It was like about a year ago. And I think he was talking to Chris Van Vliet. He said that if I ever came back to wrestling again, it would be to put over younger talent that I felt that really could benefit from me. Now, you could say he's a prick, Bully Ray. He's a New Yorker like myself. He's my boy. We can be pricks. We can be very generous, or we can just fuck you over. That is what we do. But he made it very clear that if he did come back to wrestling, it would be about the moment of making people look good, more than just getting a payday. That's just how he feels. Now, do I totally believe him? No, he's getting a payday. But it doesn't mean he isn't legitimately saying, I want to do for something for the companies. He works now with NWA. He just did this for Impact Wrestling because he's got a connection there. I can understand it. Now, the question is going to be when they finally do pull the trigger on Bully Ray, which I don't know when. It can't just be, Overdrive? I believe that's the next Impact Plus show that's coming on the 18th of this month. I don't think it's going to happen there. Maybe in November, not October, we're in October, in November, but I don't know. Now, the second best match, wait a minute, I already said the third best match was Kaz and Mike Bailey. If I didn't, that's that. The second best match was the last rodeo match. That was the best second match. This one right here was the best match of the night for me personally. And you're not going to believe me. That's Jordynne Grace versus Marsha Slimmers. I know everyone can say, you see, you love Marsha. No, it wasn't about Marsha. Was it? It's the best match of the night because they booked it as the best match of the night. Honestly, I'm not saying that they didn't outperform the men. When it comes to Eddie Edwards and Josh Alexander, I got my thoughts on it. They easily on par with it. It's the best match of the night because of what's going to happen going forward. I'm not just going by match quality. I'm going by what this means going forward for Impact Wrestling. Now, we knew Jordynne was not going to job. I knew she wasn't going to job. The question is going forward, what's going to happen? We just saw the last rodeo match when it came to Mickie James. Eventually, she's going to go up against Jordynne Grace and possibly Marsha Slamovich. I do believe she will go up against Marsha eventually. She has to. She's got to go for the roster. That means Marsha has got to be next, or Marsha's going to make her next. That's an obvious thing. But I knew she wasn't going to win. I knew Jordan Grace was going to win. And I also knew there was a good chance the match would be good, even though Marsha does tank. Let's be honest. What she did with Alley Katz, she tanked very easily within the first couple of minutes. Now, did she tank here? For the most part, no. Not until about maybe 10 minutes before the match was over did she start really tanking. You could see, yes, she was able to do all her stuff, but you could see how tanked she was beginning to get. Now, was Jordan tanking? Yeah, of course she's going to tank too. But you could tell that Jordan tanked a bit less than Marsha did. And you guys tell me below, seeing Jordan Grace in white, I'm not going to lie. I'm actually a Jordan Grace fan. I like her. She's not an ugly woman. But damn it, man. Wearing all white? She looked like a guy. Sorry, there's noise in the room for my neighbors. Dude, Jordan Grace looked like a guy. If you couldn't see her up close and see her physique as a woman, she looked like a dude because of wearing white the way she did. Normally the way she wears her clothes, she covers up her stomach and she accentuates what she has. But damn, she looked like a dude. And I'm a Jordan Grace fan, and I think she's still a damn good looking woman. But the way she was built in white, it really accentuated her like a guy. So I'm going like, damn. But she still looked like a woman. But the match itself, how was it built? You see both of them going back and forth. It was heavily going back and forth. That's what we got. I say easily within 20 minutes, they didn't tank. Both of them were holding very well. But the last, I think it was about almost 25 to 28 minutes. There was nearly 30 minutes. I think almost 30. You could tell they were beginning to really tank around the 22-minute mark? Up until almost when I think it was nearly 30 minutes. I think. I didn't time it. But you could just see them trying so hard to make it mean something. And they did. In the end, Jordan won just as I said she was going to win. But here's the big question.
What happens to Marsha now?
And I know people are going to say, I know they're going to be podcasts that are going to say, Marsha looked great. This loss won't hurt her. No one's saying anything about her getting hurt by this match. It's her booking after this match. It's going to be the question. No one ever thinks about what happens after the match, weeks after it happens. Do they book that person correctly? This is what no one ever thinks about. And this is what I've always said. See how people get booked after an important match. That shows that they mean something to the company. So the question is going to be, what are they going to do with Marsha next? It's obvious that she's going to have to go through Mickie James. Or Mickie James is going to have to go through her. I doubt Mickie James is going to job to Marsha Slamovich. So Marsha is going to job to Mickie James. The question is, how is she going to job? And what would it do after she jobs? Because it's coming. Mickie James will go through Marsha. But the question is, what would they do with her after that? That's last. The final match of the night. Eddie Edwards versus Josh Alexander. Now, I didn't say this in my Impact review. I wanted to leave it to see if there was something here. And I did want to leave it. I didn't forget. I wanted to see if there was something going to happen in Bound for Glory when it came to Alicia and his daughter. Because it made it very clear. Alicia said, this is it. Either this ends now or we end. And he said, I will end this. I'm going to win. And even his own daughter said, but what happened if you don't? And then Alicia said, don't worry, he won't. So this is a setup going forward for Eddie Edwards. What Eddie's about to do when it comes to Honor No More and when it comes to his wife. They're going to have to address it on Impact TV. Unless they're stupid enough to do on BTI, which they won't. They will address it on Impact TV within the next couple of weeks. It's got to happen. It will happen. They will show a video of it, or they'll do a segment in the ring or in the back. Something will happen. But we got Eddie's wife at ringside with his daughter, and Josh's wife at, well, not ringside, but they were sitting with the fans with his son. One of his sons. I believe he has two sons. No, it's one son, sorry. With his son. This is what we get. A very physical match that led to Josh breaking his nose. I believe I got a shot of it. It's in my face. And that was due to Eddie kicking him in the face at the very end of the match. Now, did we get shenanigans? Yes, we did. We got heavy shenanigans that Honor No More, and this is when the match should have ended. This is when I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of pissed off when it came to the Motor City Machine Guns and OGK. The ref did a lot of levity, letting all four guys being there at the same time, or two guys at the same time, longer than the 10 count, longer than the 20 or 30 count. And when you see this match, they wanted to make it as emotional as possible through the wrestling. So when it came to Eddie almost losing, Honor No More comes out, decks the ref. The ref should have ended it. The next ref that came out should have ended the match because the ref wasn't accidentally knocked out. He was purposely knocked out. So the new ref that was sent to the back, that means they were watching the footage, watching what's going on. Not footage. You see him getting angry. They should have just pulled him out of the ring and the ref was knocked unconscious. He wouldn't have seen anything. The ref was dead. He got it straight to the face. They should have ended the match there with the new ref. No, they kept it going. So that just made the match look kind of stupid. They did everything they could to make Josh Alexander have to struggle. And in the end, next to breaking his nose, he won the match. Then he got his ass kicked by Honor No More when it was all over because Eddie wasn't in the ring. He was C4 spiked again because he had two C4 spikes. So once Bully Ray came out, you wondered, because when it came to Matt and Tom, they were trying to say, is he doing the call your shot challenge? I mean, call your shot now? Because that's what Moose did last year. And he comes up, he hands the ref pretty much nothing happens, and he kicks the ass of Honor No More along with Josh. But he makes it very clear. He holds up the title, and that's probably the thumbnail. You see this? This is what I'm back. This is what I want. This belongs to me. And I'm going to get this. You better up your game. This is what I'm coming for. I'm coming for you. You're smiling. I'm smiling too. But you better up your game. You better level up. Because now you're dealing with me. And then they end. That's it. What do I feel about this show? This pay-per-view. It was a good pay-per-view, but it's a lot of questions. And then it comes down to needing the past to go forward. Kaz is now X Division champion. Bully Ray is now going to be the number one contender. He is, no matter what. He's coming for that title. So they have to call back two famous OGs of Impact Wrestling to prop up Impact Wrestling. As I've said before, Impact is not doing well. Look what happened with the ratings. At one point, during the time of baseball and football, they got a rating of 44,000. 44,000. That means something. That I'm sure Anthem said, you better do something. So they had no choice during this. They had to do something. So they had to call back Kaz, who's working with AEW that has issues right now, and Bully Ray, who's working with NWA. They had to call these two back to be able to give us something. So the question is, are they going to get anything out of this? Getting two legends in Impact Wrestling, will it help them going forward? Will Marsha Slamovich be booked correctly? That's going to be a question. We know the booking for Mickie James is not going to change. So Marsha is going to lose to Mickie. There is no way Mickie is going to job to Marsha. She's going up against Jordan. That's going to happen. The question is, clearly, what will happen with Marsha after that? You guys, tell me what you think. Particularly that one of my subscribers said the gut check guys, they're being used more. I don't think so. They should have already been on the roster. I know that most people say, well, we've seen them on BTI. Well, there's a difference between BTI and the main roster. Why haven't they been used? One guy came in and gut check in 2020. So why was he on the main roster? We got 2 new guys. Why are they not being shown, being told, other than one guy, and that was brief? Will we see them in the next couple of months? I don't think so. I'm hoping, but I don't think so. Unless they're doing segments in the back where they're just going to be bodies. And I hope I'm wrong. But it's just me, and I hope you enjoyed this Bound for Glory 2020 review. Please give me a comment below. I'm tired. I can't wait to go to sleep after I edit this video, and I will be putting the images in. And I will be doing my Extreme Rules review. I should be doing it tomorrow. Peace.